The world had changed. It was a transformation that no one had anticipated, a shift so profound that it altered the very fabric of existence. The once familiar landscapes now seemed alien, shrouded in an eerie darkness that hinted at the mysteries yet to unfold. Gone were the days of empty stomachs. The era of hunger and scarcity had ended abruptly, leaving behind memories of desperation and longing. The tables that once stood barren, devoid of sustenance, now held the promise of something extraordinary. Gone were the skeletal figures of starving children. A miracle had arrived. The gaunt faces and hollow eyes that once haunted the streets were replaced by a new hope, a glimmer of life that had been absent for far too long. A gift from the earth itself, ambrosia they called it. It appeared overnight. This mysterious substance, glowing with an otherworldly light, seemed to be a benevolent offering from the planet, a remedy for the suffering that had plagued humanity. Strange pulsating pods erupted from the ground. These pods, with their rhythmic throbbing, were unlike anything seen before. They emerged from the soil, as if the earth itself was birthing a new form of life. They were found everywhere, in fields, backyards, even cracking through concrete in cities. No place was untouched by their presence. The pods broke through barriers, defying the man-made structures that stood in their way. Each pod overflowed with a white, fleshy substance, ambrosia. This substance, both strange and enticing, oozed from the pods, inviting curiosity and caution in equal measure. The first hesitant souls to try it, driven by desperation, found it delicious, more than delicious. It was an experience that transcended mere taste, a revelation that brought with it a sense of wonder and disbelief. Ambrosia filled them, nourished them, in a way no food ever had. It was as if this substance was designed to meet every nutritional need, to heal every ailment, to restore vitality in a manner that was almost magical. It was a sensation beyond taste, a feeling of utter contentment. Those who consumed ambrosia felt a profound satisfaction, a deep-seated fulfillment that went beyond the physical. It was as if they had tapped into a source of pure, unadulterated joy, a connection to something greater than themselves. The news spread like wildfire. People flocked to the pods, their initial apprehension quickly forgotten. Ambrosia was a miracle, a godsend. It was abundant, readily available, and most importantly, it satiated hunger completely. Governments, initially wary, quickly recognized the potential. Here was the answer to one of humanity's oldest foes, hunger. No more famines, no more malnutrition. Ambrosia promised a future of plenty. Factories were built, dedicated to harvesting and processing this wondrous food. It was packaged, shipped to every corner of the globe. The impossible was happening. Hunger, that ancient enemy, was being eradicated. But even miracles have their price. Whispers began to surface, whispers that grew louder with each passing day. People started to question the origins of ambrosia, the miraculous substance that had taken the world by storm. Stories from the labs, from the processing plants began to circulate. These were not just ordinary stories, but tales filled with dread and unease. Workers spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences, about things that defied explanation. Something wasn't right about ambrosia. It was more than just a feeling, it was a growing suspicion that gnawed at the minds of those who worked closely with it. It wasn't just food, it was alive. The substance seemed to have a life of its own, pulsating and moving in ways that no one could fully understand. Scientists studying the substance made a horrifying discovery. Their initial excitement turned to fear as they delved deeper into the nature of ambrosia. It wasn't plant-based, wasn't animal. It defied all known categories of life, leaving scientists baffled and terrified. It was something else entirely, something that defied classification. It was as if ambrosia had come from another world, a world beyond human comprehension. Something that seemed to pulse with a faint, eerie life of its own. Then came the incident, an event that would change everything. A worker at a processing plant, too close to the unprocessed ambrosia, screamed. His scream echoed through the facility, sending chills down the spines of everyone who heard it. The fleshy substance had latched onto him, tendrils snaking out, burrowing into his flesh. It was a sight that no one could forget, a nightmare come to life. He was never seen again. The incident was covered up, but the whispers continued. The truth about ambrosia was out there, waiting to be uncovered. The world held its breath. The news, suppressed at first, leaked out, the gruesome details whispered in hushed tones. The Feast of Plenty had a dark side. a horrifying, unspeakable side. Could we ignore the truth? Continue to consume this miraculous food, knowing its origins, knowing what it did, what it was? The moral dilemma was agonizing. Some argued for its continued use. Hunger, they argued, was a greater evil. Others, horrified, called for its immediate ban. The debate raged, splitting families, communities, nations. Section 5. The Harvest's Hunger, a Ghastly Symbiosis. In the depths of the forest, where the mist clung to the twisted trees and the air was thick with an eerie fog, a sinister revelation awaited. But the truth was far more insidious than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't just a simple tale of survival or a mere struggle for resources. Ambrosia wasn't just a food source, it was a parasite that had woven itself into the very fabric of our existence. A parasite that had found the perfect host, us. It thrived on our consumption, growing stronger with each bite we took. The more we consumed, the more it spread. It infiltrated our bodies, our homes, our communities. It wasn't just in the processing plants anymore, it was everywhere. The contamination had seeped into every corner of our world, in the soil, in the water, even in the air we breathed. There was no escaping its reach. The pods, once confined to specific areas, were now everywhere. They proliferated in the wild, spreading their invasive tendrils far and wide, bursting from the ground, splitting open, revealing their glistening contents. These alien growths were a constant reminder of our plight, and the fog, that strange ethereal fog that seemed to cling to everything, that was ambrosia too. It was as if the very atmosphere had been tainted by its presence, a haunting reminder of the symbiosis we could not escape. People began to notice the changes, the subtle shifts in their environment. The fog was not just a natural phenomenon, it was a manifestation of ambrosia's grip on our world. Scientists worked tirelessly to understand the nature of this parasitic relationship. They examined samples, ran tests, and tried to find a way to break free from its hold. Communities gathered to discuss the crisis, sharing their fears and experiences. The realization that ambrosia was more than just a food source began to sink in. When ambrosia was first discovered, it was hailed as a miracle, a solution to hunger, a promise of abundance. But now, that promise had turned into a nightmare. People started falling ill, showing symptoms of infection. The once celebrated ambrosia was now a source of dread and despair. Desolate landscapes and abandoned homes became common sights. The spread of ambrosia had left a trail of devastation in its wake. Yet amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope. Scientists believed they might have found a potential solution, a way to reclaim our world from the clutches of ambrosia. People began to come together, united by a common goal. The fight against ambrosia had become a symbol of resilience and determination. As the sun rose over the misty landscape, it symbolized a new dawn, a chance to overcome the ghastly symbiosis and restore balance to our world. Section 6. A world devoured, the cost of consumption. The world was changing, becoming something different. The plants, the animals, even the landscape itself were warping, twisting, adapting to the presence of ambrosia. And so were we. Those who consumed ambrosia regularly, they were changing too. Their skin took on a pale, almost translucent quality. Their eyes became large, luminous. They moved with an unsettling grace, their voices taking on a soft, whispering tone. Section 7. Echoes of emptiness. The price of plenty. The hunger pangs were gone, replaced by a constant, gnawing emptiness. An emptiness that could only be filled by more ambrosia. We had become slaves to our salvation. Addicted to this parasitic food source that was slowly consuming us from the inside out. The world was quiet now. The bustling cities of the past were eerily silent, populated by those who had succumbed to ambrosia's allure. Their laughter, if you could call it that, echoed through the empty streets, a chilling reminder of what we had become. Section 8. The hunger within, a reflection of ourselves. Was this our fault? Had our insatiable hunger, our desperate need for a solution blinded us to the true cost? We had wished for an end to hunger, and our wish had been granted. But at what price? The face of humanity now stared back at us from the fog-choked mirrors. It was a face both beautiful and terrifying, a face that reflected our deepest desires and our darkest fears. Section 9. Seeds of doubt. Can we stomach the truth? Some still clung to the hope that a solution could be found, a way to reverse the effects, to break free from ambrosia's hold. But deep down, we all knew the truth. The change was irreversible. We had sown the seeds of our own destruction, and now we were reaping the bitter harvest. The world was no longer our own. It belonged to Ambrosia now, and we were just vessels. Section 10. The cycle continues. A chilling acceptance. The fog rolled in thicker than ever, blanketing the world in its cloying embrace. It carried the whispers of the change, their voices a chorus of hunger and contentment, and within that chorus a single, terrifying truth emerged. Ambrosia wasn't evil, it wasn't malicious, it was simply hungry, just as we had been hungry, just as we had consumed without thought or consequence. The cycle continued, a chilling testament to the destructive nature of both hunger and plenty. Section 11. A Feast of Despair, the true cost of Ambrosia. The world was silent now, save for the soft susurrus of the fog. The Feast of Despair was over. We had consumed, and in turn we had been consumed. The true cost of Ambrosia wasn't hunger, wasn't fear, wasn't even death. It was oblivion. The slow, creeping oblivion of a world devoured from within.